This is the Quadrilaterals homework. The first part of the homework, it says find the area and perimeter of each of the following shapes. So the first three shapes looks like they give you are rectangles. So with rectangles, we know opposite sides are equal. So if this side is 5.6, the opposite side is 5.6. And same with this would be 6.16. So when they're asking you to find area, for each one of these, you're going to use the formula area equals length times width. We're going to substitute the values in for the length. In this case, it's going to be 6.16 times 5.6. And then we're going to multiply those together. You can do that on a piece of scrap paper or you can use a calculator. I'm going to enter it into my calculator. 6.16 times 5.6 would be 34.496. Okay, it doesn't say to round to any specific place value, so I'm going to just keep it like that. It also doesn't give us any kind of labels such as inches, meters, centimeters. So I'm going to just, when I write my answer, 34.496 units squared. Because remember, area is always two-dimensional, so we would use units squared. Okay, when you're finding the perimeter for each of these shapes, we know that perimeter is when you add all the sides. So you're just going to put perimeter equals length plus width plus length plus width. So you're just following what's around the outside, the dimensions that they give you. So I'm going to start with 6.16 plus 5.6 plus 6.16 plus 5.6. And then I'm going to use my calculator and just enter those in. 6.16 plus 5.6 plus 6.16 plus 5.6. And the perimeter is going to be 23.52. And again, I'm just going to say units because there's no label. You're going to do that same process for each one of the rectangles. Okay, take a look at the one on the bottom. It says, what are the dimensions of a square with the area of 81 square yards? Well, a square is a little bit different than a rectangle because we know all of the sides form 90-degree angles, and we also know that all the sides of a square are equal. So if we're talking about area of a square, it's still length times width, but whatever number we put in has to be the same number because the sides are the same. So I'm going to kind of do this one by guess and check. I know the area is 81 square yards. So I have to just kind of play around. Am I going to do 7 times 7 because the sides have to be the same in order to get this area? Because all sides of a square are the same. But I know 7 times 7 equals 49, not 81. So it's not going to be 7. So I need to go with a higher number. So I know that 9 times 9 is 81. So that tells me that each of the sides of my square are going to be 9 yards. So I'm going to show it just like this. 9 yards would give us the 81. So the length equals 9 and the width equals 9 yards. Okay, flip it to the back. Now we're given some different parallelograms, and we showed you in class. I'm going to do the one that's right in the middle. The area of a parallelogram is base times height. So with these parallelograms that aren't necessarily sitting on the base, I'm going to just turn my paper sideways, and I'm going to find that right angle that Ms. Flood was talking about during class. I know, remember, when we measure our height, we stand straight up. So I'm going to go to that dimension that's going straight up for height, which is the 7 feet. And the base is usually the bottom, or what that shape sits on. So we're going to use the 15.1 as our base. So when I multiply, the base will be 15.1. My height in this parallelogram is 7. And then I'm going to use my calculator to do 15.1 times 7, and I get 105.7. They do give us a label here, so we're going to say 105.7 feet squared. Okay, so same thing with parallelograms. We're going to add all the sides. So I'm going to ignore that 7, that dimension of 7 for the height, because that's not on the outside of my shape. I'm only going to use the numbers that are on the outside. So 15.1 plus 14.9 plus 15.1 plus 14.9. And I'm going to enter those into my calculator. 15.1 plus 14.9 plus 15.1 is going to give me 60. They do give us a label, so I'm going to make sure I put feet for my label. And that's how you're going to do all of these. Find that 90-degree angle. Your base is going to be 6. And your height is going to be 5 for this one. Then if you take a look at this, I'd almost turn that paper so you can see the right angle here. Measuring that height going straight up is going to be 15.2 for your base, or sorry, for your height. And your base right here would be 20, what it's sitting on. Okay, so let's take a look at the problem on the bottom. It says, what's the base of a parallelogram that has a height of 3.4 inches and an area of 17.34 inches? So the first thing I'm going to do is write the formula down. Area equals base times height. I'm going to substitute in the values that they gave me. So height, they said, is 3.4. So I'm going to put that in for height. And they gave me the area. So over for area, I'm going to put in 17.34. And I don't know the base. That's what we're looking for. So think of that as like an x, and if you're solving for the variable, we need to do the opposite of multiply by 3.14, which would be to divide by 3.4 on both sides. The 3.4s would reduce, and we're left with b for base. And then on the left-hand side, we would put in 17.34 divided by 3.14, and we're going to get this long number. This time I am going to round. I'm going to say 5.5. Oh, hold on. This was not 1.4. This was just 3.4. Let's try that again. 17.34 divided by 3.4. Okay, that's better. We're going to get 5.1 as the base. And I'm going to put my label as inches on that.